What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Fresh CFO Fridays. Man, it is a beautiful day in Mooresville, Indiana. It's about 55 degrees. The sun is out. There's blue skies. It's been great weather this whole week. I'm gonna put. Let me knock on. I don't. Where do I have wood at? Real wood. Knock on my desk. It's like wood together, but yeah, I'm gonna knock on it and say spring is almost here. Yes, I hope I didn't jinx the whole Indiana and the whole Midwest in terms of like spring coming, but it is definitely starting to look like that. It's like getting to those 55-degree days and the sun is out. It is absolutely beautiful. How's your week going? Let me know how your week is going. Drop it in the chat and we'll give a couple minutes and then we'll get started here today. Cool. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to another Fresh CFO Fridays. Hi, I'm 𝗪𝗧𝗙. I'm the CEO of Fresh FP&A. And Fresh FP&A, we provide professional CFO and advisory services to high growth businesses. I've spent over 18 plus years in accounting, finance, FP&A, and financial leadership. And on this channel, we talk about everything finance, FP&A, fractional CFO, and CFO related. Fresh FP&A, we have clients all across the world in the US, Europe, Asia, all across the globe, and we help businesses transform and scale their finance organization. And I'm excited for this conversation today. Today, I'll be sharing my top three mistakes that I've made in building my fractional CFO business. This is going to be from my perspective and some of the things and some of the pitfalls that I've had and some of the things that I don't want you to make. And I'll also be sharing just one of the things I get the opportunity to do is I get to talk with a lot of fractional CFOs, a lot of CFOs, a lot of finance professionals from all across the world. And I want to share just some common themes I get from them as well too, of some common mistakes that they've made in building their fractional CFO business. So I want to give you some of those from the conversations, the hundreds, if not to this point, thousands of conversations that I've had with other fractional CFOs across the globe. So let's jump right into it. The first mistake that I made in building my fractional CFO business here at Fresh FP&A was definitely around the time aspect. I think a lot of professional services, consulting people can relate to this, right? I came in and when I got my first couple of clients, when I was actually doing Fresh FP&A as a side hustle while I was having a full-time job leading high growth finance organizations. I always equated my time to money, right? So any conversations I was having earlier on, even when I went full time in running Fresh FP&A, I always was thinking about it from like an hour perspective, right? I always had this dynamic in my head of thinking about, okay, I'm going to give you this amount of hours and this is my hourly rate, right? And it became earlier on when I was using this as a side hustle, it became really good for me to manage because I would know how much time it would take. I'm like, all right, yeah, I got 4 to 10 hours I'm dedicating a week to this, or maybe I'm putting another 15 to 20, depending upon the project. And I always got into this mindset of equating the value that I was providing based on the time and dollar amount that I was given to prospects and given to my clients at that point. When I got into this full time, I started to figure out that working with clients, you get so much value and they're learning and they're excited to talk with you. You're starting to see a lot of momentum. You're starting to bring the value. You're starting to really bring the engagement value that you set out with the client. You're starting to see that progress. But then it got to be conversational where it's like clients for me were like looking at the time clock, right? It's like being in a taxi or something, right? Where you're like, oh, 15-minute increments. Or Chris, can we not schedule this for 30 minutes? Or like, I know you scheduled this for an hour, but can we do it down to 30 or can we do it 15 or can we do it via email? I really hated that because now you're being contained on the value that you can bring. And I didn't like my clients like looking at the time clock, right? Like only want to do 15-minute periods because they know how much they're spending per hour to have a conversation. And that was one mistake that I made. I had to get out of equating my time to money, right? And how I get out of that is like the value you bring to clients, right? So taking it away from like, here's how much hours, here's how much, the hourly rate is going to be. Shifted the conversation to be more focused on the consistent value that fresh FP&A is going to bring to your organization, right? Here's the weekly updates we're going to have. Here's the models that we're going to update. Here's the strategic projects we're going to look at. Here's the OKRs that we set out for the business that we're aligned on with your leadership team that we're going to do, right? So taking the conversation to be more of a value and what we're going to do, and getting rid of the actual like time clock conversation, that really really was successful. And then also another aspect of that, me coming from the software space, I've loved the kind of residual aspect of the software. For those not familiar with the SaaS based business, a lot of times they sell in either MRR, which are monthly reoccurring, or ARR, which is annual reoccurring revenue contracts, which is like every month you pay the same amount of money, right? Like as long as that technology is giving you the same value and you're leveraging the product and the features that you paid for, you're going to consistently every month get that value out of that software solution. So me having that mindset, I wanted to shift more towards our business to more of that SaaS based kind of value added a month model. So that has been something that I think is really, really important for all of those fractional CFOs out there. Don't equate your time to value. Equate your value to the money that you're tying out to the business. So that was mistake number one. Mistake number two was thinking about scale, right? One of the things when you're running your own fractional CFO business is not only, and I tell my team this, right? Not only are we fractional CFOs and we're leading certain regions, but we're also business owners. Like for me, like I wear the other hat of the CEO of Fresh FP&A. So not only am I working with clients and spending time with clients and providing that value as a strategic finance leader and partner for them, but I'm also trying to build a business too, right? And I think you're pulled in so many different directions. And I think one of the mistakes that I made is like scaling too late. And when you think about scale, right, in running a business, that is the administrative side of running the business, the accounting of running the business, the marketing, the business development, the IT infrastructure of like your website. There's a lot of other components that come along with running a fractional CFO business that you have to put your business owner hat on or your CEO hat. And for me, I think I waited too long to bring in partners and resources to help me scale in those areas. For example, right, when you look at business development, that is a core element that a lot of fractional CFOs are probably not the best at, right? When you're talking about prospecting, you're talking about nurturing relationships, you're talking about outreach, inbound, you're talking about how do you get your message out there, how do you connect, right? That's a whole like element for fractional CFOs that is probably not the most comfortable side for them, right? And what I focused on was like, all right, that extra effort for me to get to 80% knowledge to like that 100 to that 95% knowledge, that's going to take a lot of time, energy, and effort, right? That's going to take me from other areas, whether it's servicing clients or developing the team or making sure our other teammates are building their book of business, right? It's going to take away, right? So as you look at the scale, that energy to get that extra 20% of knowledge in a certain area is going to take away from other elements of the business that may have a higher impact, right? One of the hats that you're always going to wear as a fractional CFO is like you're balancing that time and that ROI, right? Like when you're spending that hour, where hour getting the maximum amount of value in terms of building your business, whether that's for the client or building your business. So thinking about how to scale elements, right? I always have in my mentality and what I share with my team is like I'd like to have that like 60, 70% confidence and like knowledge of a certain area, whether it's business development, whether it's, IT, whether it's like, those sorts of things about building the business. I like to have that sort of knowledge and then bring on a partner to help cover me the gap of that 20, 25% knowledge that I need in that certain area. Right. And this is where like a complementary fractional business development company, a complementary fractional IT technology partner that you can bring on, a complementary software solution that you can help bring on. That way, you get that expertise, you get that person or that company or that agency that has that direct skill sets to get you that extra 20 to 30% of knowledge that you need in that certain element, right? So I think that was a second mistake that I made is in certain areas I was thinking about scaling too late, and it would have made more sense for me to bring on a partner, bring on a leader, bring on someone that has the skills, passions, talents, and expertise in that certain area to help me cover those gaps. So I think that's the second one. The third one is like making sure. I think one of this is like for the people aspect of it, right? Like finding the right people that have the right message, that have the right value proposition, that have the right experiences. Sometimes you get on and I'll tell you, right? There were people that I thought would be great in working with this client on this particular project. Maybe it's around an RPA initiative that we are working on directly with the client to do a complete baseline of their processes, see where their current processes are, see where their future state wants to be and where they need to be in the organization and where their finance organization needs to be, and developing like the roadmap and strategy. You got to make sure you bring on the right partners, and making sure that you bring on the right partners that have been there, done that, have the experience, and also have the scale within their organization as you continue to have momentum with clients. I will say I've got burned a couple times that I that person, you do all diligence that you can, you vet all the different options, you have the conversations, and you bring that person on board that help service that client or to help provide value in a certain element, whether it's like tax or like legal elements that you can bring into your value proposition to the client that you're working with, and it doesn't work out, right? And I don't think it's none of those situations that have happened to me, I think have happened from like a negative perspective. It's just that people come in, I think, with the best intentions, but then once they actually see the level of work, once they see with the value that you're giving, once they see like the kind of commitment that you have from the client, it's like, oh man, I wasn't expecting this, right? So that third mistake is making sure you have people that are 100% committed to not only the mission and the vision that you have for the organization, but also serving that client as well too. Because the worst thing that can happen, and I've had this happen, right? I think every fractional CFO can say been down this road. I've had to mend a relationship because I thought I was bringing in the right person. Maybe they were a director of finance that was supplement with our fractional CFO. And we're providing, not only CFO but actually management of their accounting team. Maybe it's the mid level organization structure to have that supervision, and it didn't work out. And you have to mend that over. Like there's opportunities around that, right? Like you come in, you mend the relationship, you focus on it, you get that clarity and trust back with the client, because that's one of the most important things as you think about bringing on the right people to help service your organization. That is like always top of mind for me, is like I want to make sure that our clients are coming to us, and they're coming to us because they're coming to us as a trusted advisor. We're trusted, we're valued, and that relationship is so important. I can't reevaluate enough. The number one thing is like relationship building, right? And whether that's with a client, whether that's with a prospect, whether that's with another fractional CRO or CMO or chief sales officer, building those relationships is so vital, and it takes so much time to build trust, and it takes two or three conversations or a bad person that you brought onto an engagement to completely eliminate that trust. So I have had to mend some relationships. I've had to go into things and with clients and say, you know what, I own this. This is my mistake, but this is how we're going to remedy the situation. This is what we're going to do. And some clients, they have said, you know what, Chris, like I appreciate that. Appreciate you owning up to it. And we'll continue. We're seeing value from you. We'll continue to see how the relationship and the partnership continues. So to me, I think those are like the top three mistakes that I've made. Now, looking more broadly, like some conversations that I have with people is one mistake that I think a lot of through just conversations and from networking and talking with other fractional CFOs is one mistake that they make is go build out like too many referral partners, right? I was at a conference this week at the in Atlanta for a company called 𝗪𝗵𝗲𝘁, and they provide basically full automation around like treasury, cash management, accounts receivable, and some accounting operations, right? And I got the opportunity to network with a great fractional CFO. And I asked him, he's been, 17, 18 years in the game. His name is Lawrence Chester, really great dude. Larry Chester, really great guy. And I asked him, I said, look, man, in the last 17, 18 years of you building this business, what will be the number one thing that if you could go back and share that you wish you would have known? And he said two things. He said the first one is your integrity is everything, right? And he expanded to say integrity around not having a lot of bunch of referral partners, right? Referral partners meaning that people are going to hit you up to be a referral partner for their credit card solution or their AP automation or their AR automation or their preferred partner for banking. You're going to have a lot of people reach out to you about being direct referral partners. Um, and one thing at Fresh FP&A, we don't have a bunch of referral agreements, right? Like I don't believe in having a bunch of like I know a bunch of people, but I don't have a lot of referral partnership agreements because I like to be agnostic. I like to make sure that the client is getting the right solution or getting the right partner, and it doesn't have any advantage on my side, right? And when Larry told me this, he's like, you got to make sure of that, right? And some fractional CFOs, they go out and they build all these referral partnerships with all these different solutions. And I don't like doing that. And I think it's you got to be cautious about that because now is really your opinion, is really your insight, is really your advice, is it really independent, right? Because that you've got this 30% kickback or you've got this 2-year agreement that if this client signs on board, right? Are you really looking after the best interest of that client, right? And if it's the right solution, yeah, it makes sense, right? But if a client knew that you were proposing this particular resource, maybe it wasn't the best one, right? But the financial advantages that you'll get from it, how would that impact, hurt, or damage that relationship that you're building? I think that's so important, right? So I'm not discrediting and saying don't go build relationships and go build referral networks with a lot of different partners, right? I'm not advocating that. But you also want to make sure at the end of the day that that value and that recommendation and that advice that you're giving to the client is for the client's best interest and not yours, right? And when Larry told me that, I was like, dude, that's gold, man. And he said the counter to that is like when you have all of these, it calls into question if you're really truly that value partner, right? If you're that independent value partner that is actually giving the client or the business the right solutions that make sense for them. So that's another mistake I think people comment that I see. Another one from conversations that I have is a lot of fractional CFOs, they land with accounting and bookkeeping and like monthly accounting kind of services. And it's really hard for them to move to that next level of being like that strategic advisor, right? Because they've been so entrenched and the business and that client has looked at them and saying, hey, we got a great accounting partner, right? Oh, we also do fractional CFO. And they're like, well, you've just been doing our books, you've been doing our bookkeeping, you've been doing our month end close, right? Some people have success of upskilling, right? Because maybe they have an outsourced accounting group that are doing their accounting work for the client and they're positioned to be strategic. But you definitely want to make sure you balance that. I get a lot of prospects and my teams get a lot of prospects of reaching out from CEOs, business owners, founders who have said, yeah, we hired national CFO company, but they're really just bona fide, controllers or bookkeepers. They're really not that strategic partner. And we're really missing that strategic leadership around our people, around our processes, around developing a great partnership, around platform, around navigating uncertainty, and around performance, right? They're really looking for that strategic leadership, and the fractional CFO that they have in place can't make that jump. And that's been a difficult jump, not only in the fractional CFOs, but even people in industry. Even when I look back over my career, right, moving away from being that accountant, that individual contributor, and being that strategic leader, that's a big leap. That is a big jump for people to make. So that's a common from what I see in talking and kind of like the conversations and network that I built with people. That's a common mistake I see a lot of people. They landed with accounting and they can't really expand to be that strategic advisor. That's a common one. I would say another common mistake I see a lot of fractional CFOs make is they don't really know they don't really know the market, they don't really know the pain, they don't really know how to solve the pain. I get emails, I get LinkedIn messages all the time. And my first question is, okay, tell me what you do, who you serve, and what makes you excited about serving that kind of client, right? And when I ask that question, right, you like 6 paragraphs worth of stuff, right? And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, if you're on a prospecting call with a client and you just talked for 3 minutes or that paragraph and they have to read through that and they're trying to figure out like, okay, what is it actually like that you do, right? And how do you do it? And who do you serve? And how long you've been doing it? And what's your experience? And it's just whole like it's confusing. They don't have the clarity. So I think that's another mistake. Is you got to have clear, concise, like what you do, how you do it for, what kind of client is your ideal client, right? And what kind of markets that you go after and support, right? I'm not saying, and I did a video back on this. Check out this video here where I talk about niching. Right here, check out this video. But you have to be able to know and have those questions. And I see this a lot of times, not only just in fractional CFOs, but business people overall. I don't know about you, my LinkedIn just messages are constantly booming. And I'm like, all right, tell me what you do, how you do it, who you serve, and what makes you passionate about what you're doing. And it's like, if I don't see that clarity and that precision of answering those questions, I'm kind of like, hey, I don't really know. Like, can you give me a little bit more? Right. And that's like literally the worst that you can have, right? Like if you're sitting across from a prospect and you just had your elevator pitch, is what I call it, and they still don't have clarity what you do, you need to go back and refine that, right? And that's important because in building your fractional CFO business development is going to be a primary element of that. And it's all about the relationship, right? It's all about how you can articulate the value that you provide and how that value helps solve either pain, frustrations, or provide opportunities to the client. That translation is so important. And that's a common mistake that I see a lot of CFOs make is they don't have that clarity of how that value solves the pain, the frustrations, or provide the opportunity to the client. That translation is lost. So for me, those are my top 3 mistakes that I've made, and I've also shared with you some kind of common ones that I see, and some kind of common themes that from the conversations that I've had with a lot of fractional CFOs across the globe. Those are the kind of ones that I see. So hope you enjoyed this video, and make sure to stay tuned. If you like this video or found value from it, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell on our Fresh FP&A page. That way you don't miss any future CFO Fridays. I hope your Fridays are going well. And as I always end every video, keep pushing, never settle, and the best is yet to come. Let's get it. Thank you guys so much for your time. All right, I'll open it up for any questions. Man, I'm getting really succinct. I'm getting really tight on my messaging when I have these Fresh CFO Fridays. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll just take some time over to help answer any questions, comments, clarifications. If you don't have any questions, let me know how your Friday's going. If you're having a good week, I still can't believe, by the way, that it is already February 24th. Like, we are almost like we're 66% of the way through Q1 already. Like, time is flying already. It's like the end of February already. Um, cool. Well, it looks like there are no questions. Thank you so much again. Hope you enjoyed, and make sure to stay tuned for all of our Fresh CFO Fridays. We do these every Friday from 12 to 12:30 Eastern time. Thank you so much for your time and enjoy your Friday.